Two teams, one trophy, one night that decides everything. There's no more debates, there's no more rankings after this. This is for the national championship. Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Can you believe we're down to the final day, the final game of the 2025 season? Yes, we know it's 2026. This is the national championship coming up. It's coming up tonight. By tonight, we're going to have a new crown champion. The Ohio State Buckeyes are still the defending national champions, but they're down to the final hours. It's either going to be the Hoosiers, it's going to be the Miami Hurricanes battling it out. Vegas and the fans have this game extremely one-sided, leading towards Indiana. But I've been saying it for weeks now. I think this is going to be a lot closer. The Hurricanes are coming in here, a line of scrimmage football team versus the extremely disciplined, experienced Indiana Hoosiers. It's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a lot closer than Vegas thinks right now. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below. Who do you think is going to win this game? Who do you think is going to be crowned the national champions? It's such a fun game. Nobody had these two teams in the Natty this year. Here they are battling it out. Loser goes home. Only one can win. It is do or die. Drop in the comment section. I will respond to every comment. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, check out that pinned comment below. This is going to be a quick video. This is just a day of breakdown on this game. Are there any updates? What's going on with the matchups? I just got done watching the Bears fighting it out versus the Rams. That was a fun game, an overtime game. The NFL playoffs, they're rolling along. We have the Super Bowl coming up soon. Conference championships coming up this weekend. And today, though, the college football season comes to an end. We'll have a new top 25 once the national championship is over. No matter what, these teams are going to be 1 and 2. But who's going to be number one? That's what it all really comes down to, guys. Let's take a look at what ESPN is saying right now. Obviously, the Hoosiers coming in here, the number one team, the number one overall seed in the playoffs, 15-0. This is their shot to be the only team in college football history. I don't care what happened 100 years ago. There was a team in like 1890 that finished 16-0. That doesn't count. Right now, they're going to be the only team in the playoff era in the last century to go 16-0 if they win the championship tonight. And they're definitely favored going up against the number 10, the 10 seed, the last team in. I don't count Tulane. I don't count JMU. Obviously, they had no business being in the playoffs anyways. Miami can finish it. They're 13-2. The two losses, SMU, Louisville. A lot of people hold that against the Hurricanes. Don't forget Carson Beck in those two losses, 6 interceptions. As long as he's careful with the football, Miami tends to win. This is their champion. They've been to the top of the mountain before. Yes, it might not be in a lot of young people's lifetime when Miami was there, but there was a time when Miami was the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Georgia Bulldog, the Ohio State of today, when they were in the national championship every single season. There was a time when the national championship was always in the state of Florida. Just think back. Miami can get back to the top of the mountain here. They have a veteran team. They have a young team, and they have a mix of everything. They got veterans, they got young guys, they have power, they have speed, they have elite coaching, they have a top 10 overall roster coming in the year. Miami, the number 10 overall roster, blue chip wise, according to ESPN's ranking, they're loaded. Carson Beck here, he's like a 5th or 6th year senior. A lot of reps under his belt from the Georgia Bulldogs. He waited his time. He bid his time there. He was very competitive in the deep SEC, came over to Miami, declared for the draft, came back to college, signed, a $4.125 million NIL deal. And here he is leading the Miami Hurricanes. A lot of reps under his belt. That has to count for something. The Hurricanes came in here. They were supposed to lose to the Aggies in College Station. We picked them to win. They won it. They were supposed to lose to the Ohio State Buckeyes, 10.5-point underdogs. They bludgeoned the Ohio State Buckeyes at the line of scrimmage, rolled through them. They came in versus the last team standing in the SEC, the Ole Miss Rebels. They beat them. They covered the spread there. Now they're in the national championship. How about the Hoosiers? The most losing team in college football history. Kurt Cignetti takes over last year. Never had a 10-win season before. They went 11-1 last year during the regular season. They went 15-0 so far this season. Never had 10-win season before. The last 2 seasons, obviously over 10 wins, and now they're playing for the national championship. What has this man done in 2 seasons? He says it all the time. Google him. All he does is win, and that's definitely it's obvious. Look at the production he's getting on the field. He's got transfers. The oldest team in college football. That's not a knock. That's not an insult. With age, yes, there's 3 stars, just a couple of 4 stars on this team. It's 2 and 3 stars. Fernando Mendoza, 3-star coming out of Miami. He develops. He works them. He plays to the strength on the roster. They might not be the most talented team, but it's obvious they've been the best team in college football this season. Best and talent, that doesn't always equate. When you look at some teams, they're perennially in the top 10 overall roster-wise. That doesn't mean that it translates to wins on the field. This team might not have the talent, but they have cohesion. There's NFL players on this team, but it's remarkable what they do. They play together. They get the strengths of everyone, and they coach to the skill set on the roster. And this team has been elite. This has been the most consistent, the most reliable team the entire season. When it was about, let's say 6 weeks ago, I picked the Hoosiers to be my national championship. When I released my very first bracket, I had Indiana winning the national championship this season. So far, if you look back at the product we've seen so far, things are actually sitting pretty good right now for that pick. But that doesn't mean that I'm going with them right now because a lot has changed since then. Indiana, ESPN 68.3% chance to win this one. Heavy favorites. But like I said before, I don't necessarily care what Vegas has to say, because just because Vegas picks it, that doesn't mean that's going to be the outcome here, because then neither of these teams would be in the national championship right now, especially Miami. They weren't supposed to make it past the first round. They definitely were massive underdogs versus the Buckeyes, versus the defending champs, the number 1 team throughout the entire season. And they beat both those teams. They beat Ole Miss. They have three SEC wins. They beat Florida. They beat the Aggies. They beat Ole Miss, and the SEC is supposed to be the deepest conference in the country. They beat the defending national champions, worse than Indiana beat them. Indiana won that one 13-10. Buckeyes missed a field goal at the end of that game. That's not to take away the win. Indiana won that game at the line of scrimmage. But Miami beat them even worse, 24-14, and they were 10.5-point underdogs. Both these teams can win this game. I don't care what Vegas has to say. Use your eyes. Look at the product we've seen on the field. Miami only a 31.7% chance, less than a 1/3 chance to win this game. Vegas has the Indiana Hoosiers. The line actually moved up the week. It's come down 1. They are 7.5-point favorites, a 48.5 over-under. One thing, I was talking to one of my buddies. He said that there hasn't been a one-possession national championship game since like 2015. That's a pretty interesting stat. If that is true, it's a pretty interesting number. And Vegas has this being more than a one-possession game. But when you're looking at this team, Carson Beck, the keys to the victory for Miami: own the line of scrimmage. Do what you've been doing every single game this playoff. This entire season, I have yet to see Miami lose the line of scrimmage game. They've won it in every single game, even their losses, SMU, Louisville. Both those teams were ranked for the majority of the season. Miami won the line of scrimmage those games. Carson Beck with 6 interceptions in 2 games. That's what cost him those games. As long as he keeps the turnovers down. Miami number 10 in the country for turnover margin. They're actually really good. Only 2 fumbles this entire season, and they both happened in the playoffs. It's good they only had 2 fumbles. It's bad that both those fumbles happened in the playoffs. But overall, they are protecting the ball. Can Carson Beck continue to do that? Because the Hoosiers, they don't make very many mistakes at all. Number 5 in turnover margins. Both these teams top 10 in turnovers. Who's going to win the turnover battle? Usually whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game, but it doesn't always happen that way. When you look at the Hurricanes, Carson Beck, 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 11 picks, only 5 interceptions in all of his other games. It's just those 2 with 6. He has to keep the turnovers down. He has to play smart. Don't force anything here. You have a top 10 defense in the country. There's no reason for you to force anything. You have a great rushing attack. Actually, Mark Fletcher leading all college football players in yardage in the playoffs. It's not even close. He has more than 200 to the closest Indiana player. Mark Fletcher this season, 1,080 rushing yards on 199 carries, 10 rushing touchdowns. He's also been catching the ball at the backfield the last couple of games. Malachi Toney, the best freshman in the entire country. It's not even close. This guy, 99 receptions, 9 receiving touchdowns, 1,089 receiving yards. He throws the ball. He runs the ball. He's the X factor here. He does a little bit of everything. The goal for Shannon Dawson, get the ball in Tony's hands as many times as possible. That's the key there. You got a deep running back room. You have Fletcher, Pringle, Lyle. Lyle going in the port. He is going to be gone. You have Lofton missing this game. The starting tight end Ballman's going to have to step up big there. Miami, in my personal opinion, and in the opinion of many people, the best offensive line in the country. Bell, Cooper, Malgoa, so many weapons at the offensive line. They're going to lean on Indiana. The big thing, they've been able to lean on teams second half, on the line of scrimmage, control time of possession, 41 minutes in the Ole Miss game. If they can run on Indiana, I don't think Indiana, with that number 2 overall rush defense, I don't think they're going to stop Miami. There's a massive size advantage. Miami's average weight, 335 pounds on the offensive line. Good luck trying to stop that. You might stop at first. Second quarter, you got to stop it for 4 quarters of grueling football. They want to control time of possession. They want to lean on Indiana, who does have the smaller defensive line. But that doesn't mean they're not. This is a very tactically sound defensive line, and they have a good offensive line to their own right. Looking at the Hoosiers, the Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza, the guy who probably should be the Miami starting quarterback. That's not the way fate would have it. Mendoza, 3,400 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Hemby, 1,100 yards rushing, 7 rushing touchdowns. You have Cooper. You have Surratt. You have a deep, talented wide receiver core. Overall wide receiver core wise, I'd say that Indiana probably has the edge. That's not to take away from Tony, Marion, JoJo Trader, all those guys, but they're going to have to come prepared to play a good game. The back shoulder pass, it's been unstoppable the entire season for Indiana. Miami's going to be a little light in the secondary. Obviously, Frederick's back. Brown is still banged up. He's going to be a game time decision. What's going to happen with him? You have Xavier Lucas missing the first half of that bull crap targeting call from the last round versus the Ole Miss Rebels. That's a massive loss here. But you have the best defensive line in the country. You have Bain. You have Mesidor. You're getting a lot of your guys back on the defensive front seven. They're going to get pressure on Mendoza. The key, you have to hit Mendoza. No one's been able to consistently rattle him over the course of 4 games, and he's done so well under pressure. You have to make it unlike anything he's seen yet this season. The closest games probably for the Hoosiers that you could compare this matchup to: the Buckeyes game, Penn State, Iowa, all one possession, very close games, but they won that game in the fourth quarter. When they were under pressure, Mendoza stepped up every single time. But I can't compare. The best defense they played was the Buckeyes defense. They only had 13 points that game. Miami's defense is better than Ohio State's. I don't care what the stats say. Miami, the number 6 overall defense in the country right now. Buckeyes still have number 1, even with the loss in the playoffs. But Miami's was better. They showed that in the head-to-head game because they have the best pass rush in the country. They're going to have to step up big, especially first half. Without Lucas, you don't have time for those guys to be running down there. You're thin at the cornerback position. You need Bain and Mesertor to dictate the pace of this game. You need 3 and outs. Get the ball back to the offense, 7 to 8 minute possessions, drain the clock, keep the ball away from Mendoza and the Indiana offense, because this Indiana team is so talented situationally, so talented. They don't have the size. They don't have the speed advantage. They have the overall team chemistry. You cannot underestimate how well coached and disciplined this team is, because Miami is not a very disciplined team. 10 penalties, 100 yards, nonstop overall, getting penalized, personal fouls, false starts, except for the Buckeyes game, 0 penalties that game when they won the game. When they start getting penalized, you start giving teams first downs. You don't want to give the Hoosiers extra possessions. Hurricanes come in 31.6 points a game, throwing for 254.6, running for 154.6, giving up 14 points a game, 206.1 through the air, 86.5 on the ground. The Hoosiers are pretty much top 5 in all the big stats, 42.6 points a game, that's top 5. They throw for 242.7. They run for a 218.3, probably the most balanced offense in the country, throwing the ball, running the ball. They're only giving up 11.1 points a game. That's number 3 in the country. Hurricanes are 5 or 6 right now. Indiana is number 3. These defenses both get after. They're only giving up 185.9 through the air. Might be the most disciplined secondary in the country. Only 75 on the ground. Number 2 or 3 rush defense nationally. The key for Indiana, just continue to do what you've been doing the entire season, the entire playoffs. Just consistent, reliable football. Every single week, every single game, they give you an A performance. Nonstop, all across the board. I don't see any reason for them to have an uncustomary game here. For Mendoza to come out, play sloppy, throw a couple of interceptions. It just hasn't happened the entire season. If it was to happen, it would be versus this Miami pass rush. But I don't necessarily see that happening because they've been giving you the same thing. Miami's the team, they're kind of all over the place the entire year. They give you an A plus performance. Then they give you a C performance, and they give you a B, A plus, B, C. They're kind of bounce up and down. The whole playoffs, they've been pretty consistent, but overall, over the stretch of the season, they're all over the place. Indiana is not, so you know what Indiana's going to give you. You don't know what the Hurricanes are going to give you because they show up as a completely different team. 0 penalties versus the Buckeyes, almost 100 yards versus the Ole Miss Rebels, versus the worst defense. They got penalized more on characteristic penalties, the false starts, personal fouls, just playing stupid football. But versus the Buckeyes, when they were the underdogs, that's where Miami kind of seems to thrive. The underdogs, everybody underestimating them. They play disciplined, they play tough, they won the game convincingly, 2-possession win. Do they bring that mindset in this game? That's the unknown. Now they're back to being the underdogs, heavy underdogs, in the national championship in their own stadium. Do they show up with that 0 penalty to performance? Do they just grind out the football, keep it close first half, second half, start to pull away? Once you start to lean on the team, they get a little wore out, and that's where the ground game, Mark Fletcher starts picking up massive yardage. Every single run's first downs over and over and over again. That's where this game, that's the unknown. That's what makes it such a difficult game to call, but it does make it a fun game to have to break down. I can honestly see a road to how both of these teams can walk away with the win. Indiana just handling business the same way they do every single week. They were my initial pick to win the national championship this season. Well, right now, that stands to be the right pick, but does that mean I'm going with them again here? This is a 50-50 game. To me, this game's a pick. I'm flip a coin. That's going to be the outcome. But guys, I already told you in my video that came out yesterday, right now, I'm actually going with the Miami Hurricanes to pull off the upset victory, win the national championship, keep Indiana from getting the only 16-0 undefeated national championship season in recent college football history. The Hurricanes get back to the mountaintop, keep the Hoosiers from reaching it for the first time. It's a tough game, though. Very tough game to call. Might be a little bit of a stretch to pick that, but I can see a route how both these teams can win. I know I'm getting an A performance from Indiana, but what if Miami, just like the Buckeyes game, shows up and gives you that A plus performance? When they perform at that Buckeyes level they did that game, I don't think anyone can beat them. It's just there's greater odds of Indiana giving you the regular A performance they do every single week. But what if Miami shows up and gives you the A plus performance? It could be an A, could be a B, could be a C, could be a B plus. Indiana wins. But if they show up with that A, if they grind it out and run the ball, they're going to control the line of scrimmage, and they're going to win the game. I'm going to go out on that ledge. I'm going to go with the Hurricanes doing that, and they win this one like a 24-20 close game, 1-possession victory. So, guys, that's just our breakdown. It's today, the national championship. Hit the like button, subscribe, drop a comment below. Who wins this game? What's your final score prediction? Leave it in the comment section. If you want to sign up for one of our member teams, check out that pinned comment down below. And thanks for watching. It's crazy. By tonight, we'll have a new champ. Thanks for watching.